Hey folks, welcome back to the Contrarians. This is a special edition that we're going to do where we had initially done a couple of months ago, 5 bands you're not going to see on the Contrarians because we're not contrarian and we agree with general consensus. So here we're going to tackle another 5 bands that you're not going to see on our regular series. You might see one of these pop up on our worst album edition, like you did Aerosmith, but we can't do Aerosmith regular. So in this episode, we're going to kind of go through a couple of bands each, and we're going to talk about why we agree with general consensus and why we're not super contrarian on any of these bands. So for me, I'm going to start, and then I'm going to throw it over to Martin after. But what I'm going to say is the first band we're going to talk about is Dio. So I'm quite a big Dio fan. I'm a fan of Sabbath with Dio. I'm a little contrarian in that I really like Dehumanizer. Maybe I wouldn't pick it as number one, but I really like Dehumanizer. I like Dio. I saw them live, Heaven and Hell twice. Of the Dio records, I pretty much am in line with general consensus. I like Holy Diver quite a bit. I like Last in Line. I mean, Holy Diver's just, it's like his most iconic song ever, Holy Diver's, his solo track comes off of that. I really like Shame on the Night's a good one on that one too. Even like Rainbow in the Dark, which is maybe a little more commercially. Stand Up and Shout is good. I like Last in Line. Even Magica from 2000 is pretty highly rated, and I like that one as well. If I was a little contrarian with Dio, I would probably say that, if anything, I kind of like Sacred Heart. And I know that one's a little more, you have a little bit more keyboards on that one. There's like Hungry for Heaven is on that one, which is a little Rainbow in the Darkish, but it's even more poppy. I like the title track on that one. I like Rock and Roll Children, which again is a little more poppy. I really like the '86 concert, I think from Philly, with Craig Goldie. He's actually plays live on that record. He didn't actually come in until the next record, I think, but that's probably one of my favorite ever live performances, is that performance, just because of the section where Dio on stage sword fights with a dragon for like 20 minutes, which I think is just amazing. And he's got a sword and he's just running around the stage and the dragon's blowing fire at him. And I just think that's incredible. I had that on DVD years ago, but I would show all my friends that, just that one 20-minute part, but I think I agree probably with general consensus is Holy Diver probably is the pick for Dio. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. As we're going through this, I'm thinking maybe we could have done a contrarian episode on this, but not really, because so the two that are always going to win are going to be Holy Diver and The Last in Line. And I actually prefer The Last in Line a little bit over Holy Diver. But the one place I'm a little contrarian is I love to death Dream Evil. I would put Dream Evil in there as well. So Dream Evil, Holy Diver, and Last in Line. So I don't feel I'm that contrarian. Although every time I bring up Dream Evil, come to think of it, people do think that's a really weird choice. I'm definitely not a Magica fan at all. I'm surprised that comes up high. That is really odd to me. Maybe it's because it's the near the end kind of thing. But and Sacred Heart, I'm not that big a fan. But no, I don't think I would be. I don't think I would be contrarian, because in my heart of hearts and intellectually, if I was using my head, I would probably say Last in Line, which isn't that contrarian. Mm-hmm. So there you go. My first choice to talk about would be Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is an interesting one where I wouldn't be contrarian. I wouldn't pick anything pre-Dark Side of the Moon. I would pick Animals, and a lot of deep Pink Floyd fans would pick Animals. But the fact of the matter is, you could pick Dark Side, you could pick Wish You Were Here, you could pick The Wall. Most people aren't going to pick any of the later ones without Roger. Most people aren't going to pick The Final Cut. So I don't feel Animals is a very contrarian choice, given that there are, 3 later and like 7 or 8 before that could have been in there and been much more contrarian. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not very contrarian on Pink Floyd either. I pretty much agree with your points. I'm not the hugest Pink Floyd fan to begin with, but if I were to delve into Pink Floyd, it would be basically the general consensus, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with you on that.
What's your next one?
So the next record that we're going to talk about, we've actually done an episode on Worst Album Edition. And it was the same thing with Aerosmith. We had done Aerosmith in a band you're not going to see on a regular series. So this band you're probably not going to see on a regular series. I think Martin and I maybe disagree a little bit with what should be number one, but I pretty much agree with general consensus. I think Physical Graffiti is the one, you know, and Martin, you even say that this is one of the best albums ever made. And I agree, and I really like Physical Graffiti a lot. I might edge Led Zeppelin 4 in above that, just because I think every track on that is iconic, basically. But that's in no way contrarian. Even if you and I were to debate Physical Graffiti and Led Zeppelin 4, I don't think anybody, most people are going to say, well, how's this contrarian kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, Black Dog from Zeppelin 4 is probably my favorite Zeppelin song ever. But Physical Graffiti is, yeah. I mean, like, reviews across the board are super positive for Physical Graffiti. You love Physical Graffiti. I love Physical Graffiti. And that's probably general consensus. Where I might be a little contrarian, surprisingly, is I actually kind of like Led Zeppelin 1. And I was surprised because I think I saw you on Guitar Hack, and all of you guys on the show were ranking Zeppelin albums, and you guys kind of put Zeppelin 1 a little low. And I think you guys talked about production and stuff, but I love Led Zeppelin 1. Good Times, Dazed and Confused, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Communication Breakdown. Like, if I'm a little contrarian, I would probably rate that a little higher, but I wouldn't, I still probably wouldn't say it's the best. I would probably go with Zeppelin 4, Physical Graffiti.
Okay, yeah, and myself, as I say, Physical Graffiti way up here because I think it's possibly the greatest album ever made by anybody. Zeppelin 4 I would put super high. I might be a little contrarian with the Zeppelin 3 choice. I mean, I see people pick 2. I see people pick 1 if you're like an older guy than both of us even, right? I mean, you know, if you're in your 60s, a lot of people will pick 1 or 2 because of the historical value. You know, I even see a little bit of Presence. We did a worst album edition of Presence. That was pretty cool. And House of the Whole you don't really see. In Through the Outdoor you don't really see. So yeah, most people will go Physical Graffiti. So that's that. So let's see. So my next one is Pantera. So with Pantera, I don't think I would be particularly contrarian. Number one, nobody's going to pick the pre-Cowboys from Hell albums. That would be very contrarian to pick one of those. They're pretty decent albums, but nobody's going to pick those. And then really, you know, one thing about Pantera is there's a general high consistency all the way from Cowboys in through all of those, Far Beyond Driven, Reinventing the Steel, Great Southern Trendkill, Vulgar. But I would probably pick Vulgar, Display of Power as the best, and that is the most popular, the one that sold the best. It's got the biggest hits. I think it's got a good balance of being at least slightly conservative, like towards Cowboys from Hell, and then the other 3 are a little more wacky. Well, certainly Far Beyond Driven's a little wacky, but the last 2 are there's quite a bit of dissonance and non-melody, even though I love the songs that I love a lot. But for me, I like commercial Pantera. You know, but the later Pantera, you know, the Atlantic Atco Pantera, but I do like the most hooky commercial songs kind of that they did. And I think they do that well on Vulgar. And I think most people just look at that as a magic Pantera moment, Vulgar. What do you think?
No, I'm probably right along with you. And I think that was one that I also saw you do on another show where you talked about, that was a band where I think you only need the greatest hits. I think that's what
right. And one where yeah, because I like the commercial side of it, right, of this band. As commercial as they get is my favorite stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw Down, which was really cool. And I like Pantera, but I probably agree their best, again, general consensus is probably right on with that one. I think the earlier stuff, kind of the more hair metalish stuff, I think is interesting to delve into, but I don't think anybody's going to say that's better than what they're known for iconically, right?
Yeah.
The last
What's your last one?
So the last band we're going to talk about, if you hadn't noticed behind me, is Scorpions. So Scorpions is a really cool band. They have some really good records. They have a few that kind of consistently rank high. And I'm not going to disagree with any of them. I mean, Love Drive, you'll see at the top. Blackout, you'll see at the top. And I mean, like, Blackout had the mega hit, like No One Like You. Arizona's on Blackout as well. China White is on that. That's a good one. I like Taken by Force because I think probably Will Burn the Sky and Sails of Charon. Those are probably my two top Scorpions tracks out of anything they've ever done. I really like Taken by Force, but even that one is usually ranked pretty high. So I don't think I'm contrarian on Scorpions. And I mean, like, it would be the same kind of thing with Dio, where we might, if we're debating two of the top albums, then it doesn't kind of flow with our show and how our show kind of works with picking a dark horse album. And when you pick a dark horse album, you're really picking something that you're probably not going to see in the top 3 on most rankings lists. And I think Taken by Force and Love Drive and Blackout, like, those are ones, and even like In Trance, you'll see up there as well. I even like Worldwide Live, one of my favorite live records, the double record. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the funny or frustrating thing with Scorpions is that you will see Taken by Force, you will see Blackout, you'll see Animal Magnetism, Love Drive, basically those 4, which are all 4 in a row. I think the biggest, shiniest, most successful, the most memorable one, the most where they're sort of like really in their groove, in their pocket, would be Blackout, and it might be the one I would pick as well. You know, Taken by Force is the last vestiges of the early, you know, hard rock / 80s / krautrock phase with Uli, right? But then Love Drive is super solid. Animal Magnetism is super solid. And those records did well. So once you get into the Matthias Jabs era, you know, there is a big drop off at Love at First Sting. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of fondness for that because that was the even bigger hit album. It wasn't that much bigger a hit album than Blackout, but I think Blackout is where they that is the one I would probably pick. But I'd be so close. Down to Love Drive, down to Taken by Force, down to Animal Magnetism.
Yeah,
so.
and of the hits, I think I probably prefer No One Like You above all the hit records. But then, I mean, even Blackout has Dynamite on it. Like, I would probably pick. It would probably be Blackout, and Taken by Force for me is like the top.
Yeah.
Top 3.
Cool. All right. So there you go. That's 5 more bands that you probably won't be seeing on a regular Contrarians anytime soon. But as I said, little asterisks. Maybe if I'm in a fighting mood, I might want to change on Dio there and plump for Dream Evil, because I just really like that album. But anyways, that's for
Craig
later.
Goldie,
We don't want to start breaking.
Yeah.
We don't want to start breaking our rules here. So yeah. Subscribe, check us out on Patreon. That would be great. We're going to keep adding a lot of exclusive content over there. There's quite a bit already. Yeah, stay tuned. We might have some other guests from time to time, some other solo shows, some other with Marco and myself. So yeah, go play some of these bands.
That's it, dude.